Hello, Cindy. Today we're taking a look at Scary Movie 6, simply just titled Scary Movie. The long-awaited return of the series. The Wayne brothers are back. Sorry if I mispronounced that name, by the way. The Wayne brothers are back in full force to parody films such as Scream 5 and 6. Let's just get into it. So, I loved the Scary Movies. Hell, I even actually do like Scary Movie 3 and 4. Not 5, though. 5 is the weird black sheep of the series. I forget it's part of the series, if that makes sense. Anyways, those first two, or at least the first film, is insanely funny and stupid that I can just quote endlessly. Most overall fun, stupid, just turn your brain off. So when it came to Scary Movie 6, I was excited. I'm just going to call it Scary Movie 6. It's fucking Stab 8. Just call it Stab 8. Anyways, I was incredibly excited, but honestly, I do think the whole marketing was incredibly annoying. And weirdly so, because of who Marlon Wayans is, and this whole cancel culture thing, and every line will be crossed. It just feels weird. I found it a bit annoying, but I was still excited for it. And well, it's a Scary Movie. It's Scary Movie 6. I don't hate this film. It's a bad movie, objectively, but like fucking hell, if you want to sit down and dissect the first Scary Movie, that film was dog shit. But it's funny. And that's the main thing. I laughed a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. There are issues that I do want to dissect. I'm not going to just sit here and blindly defend this thing because it is a very flawed movie. But again, it is scary movie. These movies were never high art or cinema, and I know that's an excuse for just let things be fun. It's an excuse for dog shit movies that honestly jingle keys and references things instead of coherent storytelling. But okay, well, I mean this movie does that, but I laughed during it. And this is such a weird film to really talk about because, like, how do you critique it? I think it was funny. It has issues, and again, I wasn't going into this expecting Shakespeare, but let's just get into it. I'm gonna go full spoilers with this, so yeah. I think the biggest issue that this movie does suffer from is that it references stuff that doesn't tie itself into the story. The film mainly parodies Scream 5, and I do think it does that well. The Jack Quaid parody, Jack is 1-to-1, and the whole thing centers around the two sisters named Sarah and Tuesday, obviously joking about Tam and Tara, and Tara's played by Jenna Ortega, Tuesday, you get it, Tuesday, Wednesday, Jenna Ortega, yeah, you get it. And it is cool seeing this movie mimic that and playing it out in a joking way, it's cool seeing it like doing Scream 5 where the first movie did Scream. Like I like that. It does it pretty well too, from lighting to costume, makes fun of the whole legacy sequel thing, which does play into the title being Scary Movie. Although I do also think that it is a bit unironic to call it Scary Movie because I mean, how fucking hate this. I hate this trend. Honestly, now makes the title so inconsistent. It's okay. I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. Scream 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very simple. Scream 5 comes out. Scream. I get it. You're rebooting the franchise. You're making a legacy sequel in the same vein as Halloween 2018. But now it's just called Scream. It's the first film to break away from it. And then Scream 6 is actually Scream VI, the Roman numeral. So now we have one film that doesn't have a number, and a film that has a Roman numeral, and then Scream 7 just goes back to the normal numbering. But whatever. I don't like this trend. I think it's very inconsistent. I wish it was just called Scream Movie 6. And also, this movie is dead ass better than Scream 7 by a long shot. A lot of the joy of this movie comes from seeing our good old legacy characters back again. Cindy and Brenda, the stars of the franchise who missed out on Scary Movie 5, making that the weird black sheep, are great. I wish they were in it a whole lot more, and I'll get into that a bit later, but Cindy is a parody of Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, with her being old, training for when Ghostface returns, and Brenda is a parody of Ma, which they don't really do much with. It feels a bit lazy, honestly. But the Wayans are back, and we get Shorty and Gay Ray as well. Marlon and Sean. I think Shorty is a bit much, though. I'm going to take a drink real quick. I do think Shorty is a bit much in this film, and I kind of think they overplayed the weed jokes a bit too hard. I think he was funny. I do think he was funny in the original movie, but here it does feel a bit forced. It's still cool to see him returning. On the other hand, though, Ray, on the other hand, he's gay. Yeah, that's pretty much his whole thing. He's gay, but I mean, so was the first two movies did that too. So, not much changed. I'm fine. Officer Doofy also returns, and he's actually just disabled. If you remember, he was the killer in the first film, but they do address this in this movie about, like, hey, weren't you the killer in the first film? He got pardoned for being a rioter on January 6th. In the photo that they showed, it was dead ass, I think, one of the funniest jokes in the film. I don't know, it's just stupid. It's stupid humor, and if you have stupid humor like me, you'll find this movie funny. As for our new characters, the passing the torch characters, I do like this. I'll get into it later, but Sarah is fucking hilarious, and Deadass is insane how much she replicates Anna Faris's style of acting, and looks like her too. Remember, Anna Faris doesn't have a daughter, just a son with Chris Pratt, which I was really surprised to learn with, but she does a great job. And then, okay, so we get the Meeks Twins parodies. There's D, spelled D-E-I, and then, I forgot it's Greg Wayne's, another Wayne's brother playing the Chad parody. Let's get into how this movie addresses trans people, because I think this is such a weird part of the movie, and it was controversial for when the movie was marketing. The first joke being my pronouns are they, them. And I do think that in the actual movie, that joke wasn't as bad. Let's, I knew nothing was going to be in, like, really bad faiths or anything, because Marlon does have a trans son. And I was glad, but the movie, it wants to joke about it. It wants to put these punches in, and it does, I don't think it comes off as fully anti-trans, but it does feel a bit one-sided, because it wants to be offensive, but they dance around it to not actually be offensive. And I do understand there is that risk of turning this movie into one of those comedies where the boomer gets mad at the Gen Z barista for making my coffee bad, in a situation that he made up in his head and never actually happened, and he made the situation up, and he got mad at it. It's so weird on how they really do it, because the movie isn't that offensive. It kind of does play things a bit safe, and I understand where, like, for example, there was supposed to be like an Epstein Island Trump joke, but the Paramount side of the movie was like, no. And it kind of makes you question if whether or not they should have brought this franchise back if they're not allowed to, like, punch fun at everybody. So when you have jokes directed at trans people like that, it does come off a bit one-sided. And I'm just going to say it right now. I wasn't really offended by how they did the two trans characters, or at least the trans character who is the parody of Wes from Scream 5. He is the son of Greg, the small dick guy. But, like, it feels very safe and weird. But again, I also understand the concern, because I do think that trans people are that's an incredibly hard thing to joke about without coming off in bad faith, if that makes sense. But at the same time, that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're supposed to be offensive. You're making fun of people, and I don't know. Comedy's weird. This movie does have dark jokes. There is an ice joke that did get a chuckle out of me, because the way it was shot, and it was unexpected. There's an Epstein Files joke, which doesn't really go anywhere. A Me Too joke, but again, it didn't feel offensive. DEI's death is how the character D, or DEI, dies, is that she gets annoying about protesting. And I do like that angle of her, where she is the overly morally correct protester, like the fake kind of activist, if that makes sense, because I do think that is an issue in our society, where people do get offended over, like, anything, and the friend that's too woke. I do think that does become an issue with some people, but I don't think they portrayed her the best. And my main thing was that, they're just replicating Brenda's death, and the movie just lacks originality. I'll get into that. I get the vision, again, because I do see that our society has grown a bit sensitive. Just open Twitter, but at the same time, we should be able to say that some jokes just don't age well, and Scary Movie was a product of the time. The first movie, let's be honest, didn't age well with what it was joking. Doofy is a objectively bad stereotype on disabled people, and Ray's whole thing was a gay stereotype. I also think it's okay to find that shit funny. Because I think Doofy from the original movie was hilarious. But when you take him there and you put him in a modern setting, first off, I think just redoing the joke, it's not as funny as it was back then, right? Like, it's cool to see Doofy again, and I understand what they're doing, but yeah, the movie just wasn't offensive, and I'm in this weird boat where it's like, yeah, be offensive, and I'm so conflicted on how I feel about this topic because I'm a pretty woke guy. I am like, there are some jokes I don't find okay, but I think it comes down to like morality and humor, comedy. It's a very complicated topic. There's only like one time I actually do have to side with the whole. There's a time that I think I do side with the whole people are kind of sensitive thing, and that's the K-pop Demon Hunters joke. Which, first off, I thought this sequence was funny. The major part of it was just being so unexpected and just out of nowhere, and they do the animation and a parody of Golden, and they replicated the designs close enough to avoid copyright, but it's about Shorty fucking Huntrix, or the Huntrix clones, and it was something. I wasn't offended during it, though. I thought it was funny, and I think this is one of the better highlights of the film. But I see a lot of people getting up in arms for it because, oh, it's sexualizing a kid's film. I don't think that's this big of a deal. There is an ice joke in the movie, as like I mentioned, there is a joke about ice in the film, and ice has done some pretty bad shit in real life. By the way, real quick addressing this, I am talking about like from a political standpoint, but that's because what the movie touches upon. We're talking about a movie where Ghostface has to clean up Doofy's shit at one point, so still keep this kind of shit out of my comment section. I don't want to hear about your fucking stances on Trump or ICE. I don't care. I'm just addressing what the movie has done. And I just think, that, getting back to it, I think the movie's 50-50 on the humor. I get a kick from watching the movie reference things, but they aren't in any service to the story. The movie will have a random sequence referencing the substance, but it has no bearing on the actual story. But I did like the White Chicks cameo. I thought that was funny, and I actually do wonder if they are going to make White Chicks too, because this movie's succeeding. Or Shorty saying Candyman, or a Get Out sequence, which again I thought was pretty funny. Again, I think these moments are funny, but when they can be removed, nothing happens. As a matter of fact, it does feel as if no, things were removed. The smile parody, the long leg stuff was completely cut out, which makes that sequence of the long legs parody weird. Cause like he shows up and it's like, oh, this is clearly setting up something. It doesn't. I think it was in the post credits, but I didn't watch that shit. Um, it just things happen without explanation. Why is there a Halloween party all of a sudden? Obviously to reference the ending of Scream and the climax, but also a Sinners parody, which I again did get a kick out of. It just references stuff without tying it into the story. And I kind of wish there was a bit more substance to it, because they think that the Ghostface killer in the first movie is the guy that they killed in the I Know What You Did Last Summer parody. And yeah, that original movie did reference things here and there that didn't really like Shorty saying "I see dead people," and again, it could be removed. Nothing changes, and the movie barely focuses on Cindy and Brenda, which is a shame because they are the stars of the series. I think Marlon misunderstood it because he believes that Shorty is the star because he got a lot of attention, and I think he's funny, but I don't like that he overshadows Cindy and Brenda. But let's get into what I do think is one of the film's better parts: is that the killers. The killers of the movie were Jack, where they made it. I like the joke where they made it incredibly obvious he was the killer, making fun of how Richie was obviously the killer in Scream 5. Although that twist did actually get to me. Because you know what they do? They do, to point this out. They're like, oh, the love interest is always the killer. And you're like, okay, Jack being the killer is. No, Richie being the killer, very obvious. I mean, Richie being the killer is very obvious. Oh shit, he was actually the killer. I found that funny. The Amber parody, she's parodying Amber and the other girl, the girl that she shot when she was like, "Welcome to Act 3." I think it was obvious, but then we get the reveal that Anthony Anderson and Shaquille O'Neal were the actual killers. I like this is funny. I like that they addressed that Kevin Hart isn't here, and it's sad because he was funny in Scary Movie 3 and 4. And I actually do like that they talk about Scary Movie 3 and 4 a lot, because I did grow up with those films, and again, I still like them. But okay, the true killers behind this were Ray and Shorty. Shane and Marlon Wayans coming back to take the franchise, and their motive is, I think, really great. For those who are not in the know, the reason why Scary Movies 3, 4, and especially 5 were so different from the rest of the series is actually because Weinstein took the franchise away from them. They got roped in with the actually fucking garbage ass epic movie, disaster movie, date movie, not superhero movie. Superhero movie was good. I liked that. I liked that movie. And while I did like 3 and 4, they were upset that though they were kicked out of the franchise, so they came to take it back. And again, I like this motive a lot, and I love I just think this is where the film gets at its funniest, where Marlon, I think it was Marlon making fun of how Shaq speaks on the podcast. I thought that was funny. They kill Shaq, and I like that they addressed Dr. Phil and how he went crazy. And it really just breaks the whole wall. And I like the message that just don't fuck with the OGs. They actually do kill the new stars and take the series back. And that shot of the 4 stars, Anna, Regina, Marlon, and Sean standing in front of the burning house, I think was actually a pretty cool shot. And I don't know, I liked this ending. I actually did like this ending. But I just hope Scary Movie 7 is better, because I think Scary Movie 6 was fun, but it was so caught up with referencing itself, and I kind of get why there's so much cram packed in, because because these movies came out on a pretty consistent, regular basis in between. So all they really had to do was just reference whatever was out at that time. But now, because there was a 10-year, how long, 13-year gap, 16-year gap in between this one and the last one, a lot of horror. You gotta reference Get Out, you gotta reference Nosferatu, you gotta reference Longlegs, you gotta reference It, you gotta reference a whole lot of movies. You gotta whole reference a lot more that has come out. That's why things like COVID and January 9th, if these films were coming out on a much regular basis, say this one came out in 2018 or something, hey, they only got a small little pool of films you could reference. Again, I wonder what Scary Movie 7 will do. Although I think that could be milking it. Scary Movie 6 is flawed, but I think funny. With a million jokes a second, many of them do land, but the film often struggles to balance having a cohesive story, and honestly just jingles keys and references itself and old horror and other horror movies. It's still overall a fun time that shouldn't be taken seriously at all. Scary Movie 6 gets a C. Sorry for these delays. Sorry that Backrooms was a bit late. I've just been busy a lot this week. I had family over. I got a tattoo. That was the wrong arm. I got a tattoo. I was graduating. I was doing a lot of shit. But now I'm free, and now you're getting these reviews, and I hope everything is good. My next review will probably be Supergirl or Obsession, if I do end up seeing that. I'm not too sure. But until then, run, bitch! Run!